As I'm recording this, there's been a shift in the air outside just over the last few days. It's this really quick change from you look everywhere and the air is feeling crisp and refreshing, but the trees have these beautiful red and orange hues and everything just feels alive and beautiful. And just in the last few days, the air has shifted from crisp to fully cold. I actually just looked outside this morning and it was flurrying outside, which I was not emotionally prepared for yet. But that's okay. The trees are losing their leaves and everything is starting to look dead, right? In the winter, everything looks dead. The trees are bare, nothing's growing, everything feels dormant. But beneath the soil, the roots are deepening, things are happening that you can't see. And we all know that a few months from now, things are going to start coming back to life. Winter often feels very long. Depending on where you live, it can feel longer than others. But come, February, March, I personally feel really itchy at that time where I'm like, okay, I want things to start coming back to life. But I know that come April or May, trees are going to start blooming again. Things are going to start feeling alive. And so this season that we're in right now is a slow season. Everything looks dead, but things are happening underneath the surface. But sometimes the tree is actually dead. A couple of years ago, we had a tree in our front yard that spring after spring, the leaves would not come back and the tree just continued looking dead like it did in winter. And it became very clear this tree is actually dead. No amount of waiting for spring is going to bring it back. So we have this in business as well, where we have slow seasons and we have dead seasons. And the hard part is knowing which one you're looking at and how to navigate it. So today we're going to talk about those ebbs and flows that happen in business and when those ebbs actually signify something much deeper, a bigger problem to solve. Let's dive in. Hey, beautiful human. You're listening to Bold Women in Business, the show where strategy meets soul in marketing, branding, and business growth. I'm your host, Rachel Honeyman, messaging and branding strategist, content queen, and compulsive meaning maker. Every week, I'll help you ditch the cookie cutter playbook and build a brand that actually sounds like you, sells like hell, and feels so damn good to show up for. Let's get bold. We've all experienced slow seasons in our businesses because the nature of business is that it does ebb and flow. There's a natural ebb and flow in the rhythm of your business. You're going to have some seasons that are much busier and some seasons that are much slower. And depending on your particular business, that can be somewhat predictable. I can tell you that for me, the beginning of the year is always pretty slow. It's usually a slow start to the year. I've actually found that the end of the year winds up being pretty busy for me. I've now been in business for 3 years. I'm actually just a couple weeks away from my 3-year anniversary in business, which is really exciting. And so I've seen this pattern emerge where the end of the year tends to be really busy. The beginning of the year tends to be pretty slow. And I've kind of learned to accept and expect that. Right? It's cyclical. It happens around the same time every year. It follows a pattern of some kind. Some businesses are more predictable than others with that, but every business goes through those slower seasons and busier seasons. In a slow season, you're still getting some movement, right? You might still be getting some inquiries. You're getting people opening your emails. You're getting engagement with your social media posts. You're just not getting as much business actually signing, right? You're not getting clients actually signing. So that is something that I've noticed in my own business is that at the beginning of the year, I might have a lot of people actually reaching out to me or I might be making a lot of connections, but those projects won't necessarily, sign until a few months into the year. During a slow season, your past clients are still happy with your work and they're still referring you to people. And even if the timing is not quite right at this moment, you're still getting those referrals coming your way. Even if you're doing fewer projects than you normally would, the work you're doing is still landing when you do it. You're feeling proud of it. But a slow season can feel kind of boring, or you might feel a little bit restless and wanting to do more. And you might even feel a little bit anxious because you never know when a slow season might turn into a dead season. That's what we're going to be talking about today, is that a slow season doesn't necessarily turn into a dead season. It can just be a part of your business, right? And when you start to expect that, it allows you to regulate your nervous system a little bit better. So if you know that summer is really slow for you, for example, it actually can make it a lot easier to navigate when things slow down in the summer. I actually was just talking with a new client, friend of mine who we've done some work together in the past and we're doing some deeper work now. And she shared this with me that when we met a few months ago in the summer, she was just feeling really anxious and down about the state of her business. And then she realized, wait a minute, I think she'd been in business for about 5 years, and she started to realize summer's always slow for her. Her particular client base is always kind of shut down in the summer. And so it became a lot easier for her to navigate that and to say, you know what, actually, I'm going to slow down in the summer. I'm going to match that energy and then come back stronger in the fall and winter. What about a dead season? A dead season is when you have just complete silence, crickets. Everywhere you look, you're not getting any inquiries, you're not getting engagement, you have no one reaching out, you have no clients referring you, nothing is happening at all. No one is engaging with your content. You feel like you're shouting into the void. You're not getting replies or DMs or any engagement that tells you that something is landing. And this can go on for months and sometimes beyond that. But if it's dragging on month after month after month and you're doing your books and you're seeing that things are just not adding up and you don't know how you're going to keep things going and nothing is happening, this feels like panic and dread and something is fundamentally wrong. And here's the tricky part is that sometimes a slow season may feel like a dead season because we have this tendency to catastrophize. And sometimes a dead season feels more like a slow season at first because we may be in denial or we're just not really sure. So we need to get clear on the actual signals of what is a slow season versus a dead season and how to navigate that and not just rely on our feelings about them. I've talked many times before about the actual dead season that I went through in my business between the end of 2023 and beginning of 2024, where I had 5 months where nothing closed. Nothing closed, nothing was happening in my business. I just was dragging my feet. You know, a slow season also is probably not going to last for 5 months. It is more likely to last for a couple of months or, maybe up to 3 months, depending on, again, your industry and your business and your clientele. 5 months is a long time for something to be considered a slow season. It was really, truly a dead season in my business. So naturally, whenever I face a slow season in my business, after that, my nervous system is screaming at me and saying, oh my God, are we in a dead season again? Right? And I have to remind myself that there's a big difference between a slow season and a dead season. Okay, so how do you actually know the difference? Let's talk about the signals that you need to be paying attention to. The first signal is your website traffic, your email engagement, your social media engagement, those stats, right? Like the actual tangible stats that you can look at. So in a slow season, your traffic might dip a little bit, but it's still going to maintain some steady pace. Your email opens might drop a little bit, but people are still there, they're still opening. In a dead season, traffic has flatlined or dropped drastically. Your email opens are in the toilet. People are just not engaging, or worse, because this is also a very, very common scenario, is that when you're in a dead season, you don't want to engage, right? You don't want to put in the effort. And so you stop sending emails altogether, or you stop posting altogether. You stop sharing content to your website or whatever, right? You stop engaging in the growth of your business, even though that's probably the most important time to be sharing and posting and continuing to nurture your business. But we'll get to that in a minute. So when you're looking at your stats, really ask yourself, am I seeing a dip or am I seeing a cliff? Have things fallen off a cliff or have they dipped a little bit? A little dip is not probably something to be too concerned about. A cliff is a little bit different. The second signal is quality over quantity of your inquiries. So in a slow season, you may have fewer inquiries, but when they do come in, they're still, for the most part, good fits. They've done their research. You've been putting out good messaging so they know who you are. And these are warmer leads, right? Maybe they're referrals. Great. We love referrals, but they're seeing content from you. They're seeing what you're putting out there. They understand who you are as a brand. And so when they're reaching out, they're more likely to be good fits. In a dead season, you're either getting 0 inquiries at all, no one is interested in working with you, or you're getting inquiries that are completely misaligned. People are asking you for services that you don't do. There are red flags everywhere. They don't want to pay the prices that you demand. So they're just not good. And essentially, it's the same as having no inquiries at all, because those are not people that you're going to work with. So the question to ask yourself here is, when was the last time someone reached out who actually gets what I do, who's actually a good fit, even if they don't convert right now, right? Again, if you're getting people reaching out and you're having these fit calls or discovery calls or whatever it is that you call them, I call mine a vibe check. If you're getting on a call with a potential client and they are a good fit and they don't wind up converting right now, that doesn't mean that everything's dead. It means that things have slowed down for whatever reason. There are a lot of reasons that things can slow down, but at least you have the right people reaching out. The third signal is referral patterns. So in a slow season, people are still recommending you. You're getting those people reaching out to you and saying, oh, Amanda said that I should reach out to you. She said you'd be a good fit for helping me with whatever it is that I'm struggling with. And, this is very related to the last signal, which is, again, if you're hopping on a call with someone who is a good fit, even if the timing isn't right, that still tells you something really, really, really important, which is that things have not completely dried up. In a dead season, you're not getting referrals at all, or you're getting people who are like really confused about what to refer people to you for. And so that's really where you have to ask yourself, do people know what I do? Do they understand who I serve? And am I getting people coming my way who would potentially be a good fit if the timing was right? Okay, the fourth signal is your content engagement. So in a slow season, you're posting, people are seeing it, maybe they're engaging a little bit less, but they're still there and you can feel their presence, right? There's still something happening. Maybe you're not getting people reaching out to you in the DMs, but they're still liking or commenting, right? Their engagement might shift a little bit. In a dead season, you're posting and it's like you're dropping a stone in a well. You are shouting at a wall and you're not getting any response. You're getting no interest at all. So here's where you need to ask yourself, am I creating content that actually connects, or am I just going through the motions? Am I doing everything that I can to make sure that my content is actually landing? The fifth signal is your own energy. And this is really, really important because sometimes a slow season may feel like a dead season simply because you are burnt out. In a slow season, again, we're going to talk about how to deal with this in a minute, but in a slow season, if you understand that it's a slow season, if you are embracing the slow season, this is an opportunity to rest and refill and give yourself the capacity for growing your business, even if, business itself is quiet. In a dead season, you are just exhausted, nothing's happening there, and you're feeling frantic and nothing's working, and you just feel like you're banging your head against a wall. Quick pause. Can we talk about content for a second? If you're staring at a blank screen more often than you're hitting post, it might be because you're trying to create content that doesn't fit your actual strengths. It's kind of like wearing someone else's jeans. They may look super good on your friend, but you put them on and they are not comfortable and they just aren't doing your butt any favors. That's why I created the Content Marketing Power Type Quiz. It's free and it helps you figure out the kind of content you were made to create. The kind of content that feels natural, sustainable, and actually connects with your people in a way that lights you up. In just 45 seconds, or maybe even 30 if you're quick about it, you're going to find out your power type and get custom recommendations to make content feel easier and more effective. Head on over to honeybeebold.com/quiz. That's HONEYBEBOLD.com/quiz. Take it and then DM me your result because I kind of need to know. All right, let's dive back into the episode. All right, so let's say you have looked at the signals and you've determined this is a slow season. It's just a natural ebb, nothing's broken. Here's how to manage that. Number one is this is an opportunity to rest and refill your well. You don't need to be hustling all the time. You don't need to be trying to have as many calls with people as possible, especially if you know that now is just not the time when people are going to convert. It's still a good idea to keep yourself on people's radars and keep posting, on some regular cadence and keep sharing what you do, right? All of that still needs to happen, but this is really a good time to kind of take a step back, use this time to do things that really fill you up creatively and also set you up for when your business comes out of this ebb and is ready to flow again, Do you have the pieces in place? So maybe you've had something in mind that you've really wanted to try in your business. It's also a good time to invest in some continuing education. Read some books, take a class or two, maybe take a workshop. Really look at this as an opportunity to enhance or expand your knowledge base in the area that you're an expert in. You are, but there's always more to know and grow and improve. Number 2 is you need to tend to your existing people. So a slow season is a really good time to reach out to your past clients just to check in, to nurture your email list without asking for anything, right? You can just create content that is really nurturing your audience and connecting with your audience. This is a really good time to engage authentically on social media. There's never a bad time to do that. Please always do that. But this is an even better time. It's also a really good time to have more fun on social media. Again, something you should be doing all the time, but this is a really good time to just have fun with it. Just think about, this is for you, creating content that is obviously for your audience, but for your own creative expression as well. Slow seasons are really great for deepening relationships, not necessarily chasing new ones. Number 3, this is a great time to do strategic work that you never have time for, right? Updating your website copy or auditing your business offerings, mapping out your next offer, building systems that will support you when things pick back up. This is your chance to, as they say, work on your business, not just in it. Number 4 is staying visible without forcing growth. Keep showing up in a way that feels really good to you. So that can be that MVV that we talked about in the survival episode, your minimum viable visibility, which is, just one post a week, one type of post on one channel, on one platform. That can be what that looks like. Or it can mean, like I said, having more fun with your content, posting a little bit more authentically, and just, sharing what you're learning, what you're noticing, what you're working on, even sharing very transparently that you're in a slow season and how you're using that time. Kind of show a behind the scenes on what you're going through. Don't disappear. That is what's most important. Really, really don't disappear. A slow season is not the time to do that. Consistency still is what builds trust, but this is a really good opportunity to share a little bit of the real life of a business owner and what you're dealing with right now. And number 5, most importantly, is to trust the rhythm. Understand that slow seasons are just part of the cycle. They just happen, and fighting them is going to make it worse. It's going to make you feel worse, and it's not going to actually help speed things along because this is just the season that needs to happen right now. So let yourself be in the season you're in. All right. What about a dead season? If you've looked at the signals and you have realized oh shit, this is not just slow. I am in a dead season. Here's what you do. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is a lot harder. It's a lot harder because there's something really wrong that needs to be addressed. So number 1 is to get brutally honest about what's not working. Is your offer still relevant? Is your message clear? Does it still fit who you are and who you serve? Are you visible enough? Has your positioning drifted? You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. So this is where you really need to get very honest with yourself. And it can be helpful to work with a coach or someone who can help you kind of look under the hood and understand what's really going on in your business and help you take that honest reflection of what's really working and what's not. The second thing that you can do is talk to people. So talk to your past clients. Ask them, what did they value? What would they say about working with you? Ask them for some honest feedback on what maybe didn't work. What would they have wanted to be different? Talk to your peers and ask them, what do they see in your work? How would they describe you? Do they understand what you do and how you do it and who you work with? All of that. Do they understand it? And then talk to people in your audience and ask them what they need right now. You need to get out of your own head and into conversations with people because that is the only way that you're going to see what outside people see of your work. Number 3 is audit your content. Look at your last 3 months of content and ask yourself very honestly, is this content connecting with my audience or am I just posting for the sake of posting? Are you saying something that is really worth listening to? Are you showing up as you, authentically you, or are you showing up as some version of yourself that you think you should be? So number 4 is pivot, but don't panic. And don't do a million things at once. One thing that I see a lot is that when someone is in a dead season, they feel like okay, I have to try this and try that, and I have to completely transform my business, and I have to rename my business, and I have to rebrand, and I have to all the things, right? I need to do all the things at once. Sometimes that is called for. I mean, rarely is it called for to change all the things at once, but sometimes a total overhaul is in order. But usually it's better to really take an honest evaluation of what is working and really pay attention to the signals. Again, this tells us maybe your offer needs to shift. Maybe your audience has evolved. Maybe you've outgrown your messaging. Maybe you have outgrown your brand, or your brand just doesn't work for where you are right now. There's a lot of things at play, but see this as an opportunity to pivot in a direction that really feels aligned with you and your audience. Again, get help when you need it, because it's really hard to see what's going on. As I have probably quoted before, my coach, Peter Giordano, always says, you can't read the label from inside the jar. When you're inside it, it's really hard to see what's really going on. And so that's where getting some outside perspective on where do things need to shift and where are there opportunities to pivot that make sense can be really helpful. And number 5, consider if it's time to invest in support. I've kind of touched on this already, but sometimes you're too close to see what needs to change. You may need a rebrand or a new content strategy, a business coach to work with. These aren't luxuries when you're stuck. They're really necessities. Not all of them at once, again, but really evaluating where do I need help and understanding that you don't need to figure this out alone. So there's some nuance here, because sometimes it's both. Sometimes you may have both going on at once. A slow season sometimes tells us what was already dead, right? It reveals that to us. And sometimes a dead season is really just you being completely exhausted and burnt out and needing a change. So when a slow season reveals that something is dead, that quiet that you're having in your business gives you space to notice what wasn't working. So for example, you may be able to take a step back and look back and say, okay, I've had this slow season. I haven't had a lot of projects closing, or I haven't had a particular type of project closing. And I realized that I didn't miss doing that. And that was my sign that maybe it isn't something that I want to spend my time on. And so the slowness there is not the problem. It's showing you a problem that existed under the surface. When you're in a dead season, that's really coming from you being exhausted and burnt out, you may think that your business is broken, but really it's you that needs support, right? And once you rest, once you take that rest that you need, sometimes those inquiries suddenly come back and your content lands differently. Sometimes you need that kind of rest and reset to come back to your business fully. One thing that's really important to understand is that you don't need to diagnose this in a day. Like I said, it can take time, right? When I went through that dead season in my business, at the beginning, it kind of felt like, okay, it's just slow. Things have slowed down. And as time went on, I realized, oh no, like things are completely dead. I wound up going through a complete rebrand. I niched down. I reframed my offerings. I went through a full change in my business, and that actually totally jump-started my business again. It completely changed everything. But it's really important to give it a beat, watch those patterns, journal it out, talk it out, whatever you need to do to get clarity from paying attention, because clarity never comes from panicking. I say this from deep experience, someone who lives with tremendous anxiety and panic a lot. So I totally know this from experience that clarity just doesn't come from that place. So here's what I want you to take away from all this. If you are in a season right now where things have slowed down, you're not closing business, you're not bringing in enough, you're not getting the response that you want, you don't need to have all the answers right now. But it's really important to be willing to look at what's really going on here. If this is a slow season, if you look at those signals and you realize this is really a slow season, this is expected, there's a pattern here, I know what this is, lean into it. Really lean into it, take the rest, take the opportunity for creative expression, invest in your existing people, do that strategic work, trust the rhythm. If this is a dead season, it's going to be really hard. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be really hard, but it's so important to get honest, pivot if you need to, ask for help. Don't try to save something that's already gone. You know, coming back to that analogy that I gave at the beginning of the tree, right? If I had tried to just water and prune that tree in my front yard that just was not coming back to life season after season, it would have been completely fruitless. And in the end, do you know how I took that tree down? It was actually a pretty small tree, but you know how I took it down? I literally kicked at the base of the tree and it just came down because it was so dead and rotted inside. It had no strength to it at all. And so it's really important to recognize when you're in a dead season and something needs to change in a very drastic way, tending to what's going on right now and trying to revive something that needs to be put to rest is going to leave you so frustrated. It's not going to lead you anywhere. And so it's really, really important to be honest about those times to allow yourself to build something new. So if you're feeling stuck in one of these seasons and you're really not sure how to evaluate it, is it a slow season? Is it a dead season? What should you do with this situation? Feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to chat and see if there's any way that I can help. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. All right, beautiful human. That's a wrap on this episode of Bold Women in Business. This episode was brought to you by my company, Honey Be Bold, with music by Shmukulele. But before you go, don't forget to take the Content Marketing Power Type quiz at honeybebold.com/quiz, because when your content fits your power type, showing up gets way easier and your marketing actually starts working for you. Until next time, stay bold, stay kind, and keep doing it your way.